Hi friends! In today's video, we're gonna see how to style the headings, paragraphs and even hyperlinks. And we're also gonna see how to make a dropCap and also how the text property works within a CSS box model. Well, if you're not quite sure what a box model is, please check out our video about the CSS box model and the link is given in the description as well. And as always we do, all the source codes for what we're doing is given in our blog and the link for our blog is given in the description. So please don't try to pause the video and type in codes because that might hinder the learning pace. Alright, I hope you're ready and let's get started. Okay, so we have some basic HTML here. Let's go ahead and create the h1 tag. I'm gonna name it as this is heading 1. And now let's create a paragraph tag with an ID of maybe like para1. Alright, the best thing about VS Code is you can actually type in as lorem and the number of words, and if you press on enter, you'll get that number of words generated for you. Okay, now for the third thing, let's create a link. I'm just going to create a random link and to show that it's a link, I'm going to type it as this is a hyperlink. Alright, so it's visible there. Now let's go ahead and create a CSS file in the name of style.css, and we must make sure to link the CSS file in our HTML, so I'm going to do that now. And there's our CSS file. Alright, it's done. So let's get started by designing the CSS. So let's select the whole web page by using the asterisk selector and give a margin of 0. Well, you could type in as 0 pixels or just keep it as 0. Let's set the padding as well to 0. Alright, now we can design the heading of our web page by using the h1 tag. First, let's set its color. Well, I'm gonna use some hexadecimal values here, but don't worry about that for the moment because it's just another way of representing colors while we code, and we'll get to that quite sooner. So I'm gonna select the font type using the font family. So Arial is what I need, and I'm gonna give her a fallback value of Comic Sans MS. Alright, now the font is Arial now. So how it works is, if the first font is not available, it looks for the second one. And if the second is not available, it goes for the third one and so on. But please make sure when you give the name, which has some spaces in between it, to cover them with single quotes. Okay, since this is not looking very good, I'm going to give out some margin now. Let's say 20 pixels maybe. Okay, it looks good now. So let's go for the next font property of font size. You can set the size of your font here. By default, H1 has the largest size when you normally declare it. And now let's go for the next one, which is font style. Here you can make the text italicized, bold, and in this case I'm going to make it oblique. Let's go for the next one, which says font weight, which controls the thickness of the font. So you can select from 100 to 900 or set some global values there. I'm gonna set to 800, and if I set it to 100, you can notice that the font is very thin now. And please note that this doesn't have any units, you just need to type only the value there. And for the next one, which says font stretch, it actually compresses or expands the text, but make sure that the font style that you're using actually has the phase of compressed or being expanded. Now let's go for the next one, which says font kerning. I'm gonna set it to auto, but you might not have seen this before. So let me take this chance to show what this is. So font kerning actually takes away the extra spaces between letters to give a good look there. As in this case, since this font is already perfect, it's not gonna work there. Okay, so now we saw some properties which starts with the word font. Now let's see how we can give some space for it. Let's start with letter spacing. So this usually gives some space between the letters of your text. I'm gonna set it to 2 pixels. And in the same way, you could set some space between the words using word spacing. So this is how it looks when we give some space. Now let's see how we can use line height. Let's set it to a value of 200 pixels. And if I do so, you can see that there's a lot of space for the top and bottom of our text. Well, we actually use the line height for paragraphs. So to demonstrate it better, I'm going to use the paragraph tag. So I'm going to take the ID that I have given for the paragraph, which is para1, and use it over here and set the line height to maybe like 100 pixels. And now you can see that there is a huge amount of space between the sentences of our paragraphs. So we could make it to look 10, but it's squashed, so 25 pixels would do it. Okay, so that's all about the line height. Now let's move on for the other properties of text. That starts with the name text. So let's go for the first one, which says text align. Well, you might have guessed it. Yes, you could align the text using it. So I'm going to make it to center. And this property doesn't actually work the same way for hyperlinks, and I'll show you that in a while. And before that, let's see what text decoration does. We can set something like underline to get our text, the heading underlined of course. And text decoration is mostly used within hyperlinks. So I'm going to use the A tag, set the text decoration to none, and now you can notice that the underline from the hyperlink has disappeared. And in the same way, if we use the text align property within hyperlink, wait for it, it doesn't work. The reason is, if we use a background color to check the amount of space that it has, it's gonna be the space of the text, something like a span tag. So to get the text align property work there, we could use the display block. Oops. Okay, so if we set the display as block, it takes the entire web page. So in that case, we can set the text align property to it. And feel free to use the background color to check the amount of space that text or any element of your web page is using. And so once you're finished, take it off. Alright, that were some important parts of how we can design a hyperlink there. Now let's go for the next property, which says text-indent. So let's set it to 10 pixels. And this is the space that the first sentence of our paragraph moves. So I'm going to use it within the paragraph tag. So if I set the text indent to 20 pixels, you can notice that only the first sentence is moved towards the right. That's how it works. Okay, now let's go for the next property. Let me remove the space. Okay, so the next property would be text shadow. Well, it's kind of how we give effect to our text. So I'm gonna use a hexadecimal value of a color, set the offset X value and the offset Y value, and the third value would be the blur radius. So if you set the first one to some values, it is the amount of distance that the shadow moves horizontally, and the second value is how it moves vertically, and the final one is the blur radius. So we have a good shadow there. If you set the blur radius to 5 pixels, it makes it more like the real text. So let's set it to 15 pixels for the moment now. Alright, so let's head back to the HTML file to create the box model. To start that, we can use a div tag with a class of something like a container. And within the div tag, let's create a paragraph tag with an ID of has dropCap, because that's what we're gonna do now. And let's generate some random text like we saw before, around 50 words. Okay, it looks better, and now we can style it using CSS. And without wasting your time, I have styled the web page that we saw before with the box model. And I have only used the style that we learned today in the video before. Okay, so now let's head to the CSS file, and I think I have missed this property which says text transform, and if you can set it to uppercase to make the whole text into uppercase, and you could also set it to something like lowercase to make everything into lowercase. But if you set to capitalize, it capitalizes only the first word, only the first letter of each word, of course. Okay, so now I'm gonna use the ID that we created within the paragraph of the box model, which says has dropCap. I'm gonna copy it and bring it over here. And now I'm gonna use a pseudo element which states as first letter. For the moment, don't worry about the pseudo elements. We'll come back to that later. But make sure to use this when you are making a dropCap in a paragraph or something in CSS. So I'm gonna give the font size. I want to make it more bigger than the others, so I'm gonna set it to 60 pixels. So now we have a big font there, but it's not looking very good. So I'm gonna set some line height around maybe 0.65. Okay, it looks better than before, but still not very good. So let's set some margins to make it look better. I'm gonna set it to values of 10 pixels on top, 10 on right, 20 on bottom, and 0 pixels on the left side. Okay, it's almost ready, but there's something missing there. I'm gonna use the float property and make it to float left. And now it looks perfect, isn't it? And you could also set the float value to right, where the letter L moves to the right. And you could set to center, but it doesn't look very good, so let's stick to left now. Alright, now we have completed the dropCap of the CSS within our box model. And please note that text align justify works only within a box model where you can keep this text perfectly fit well. So this is how you make a dropCap in CSS easily. Thanks for watching, guys, and please do subscribe for more videos, and the whole source code is given in our blog. And feel free to ask any questions in the comment box below. Have a great day, guys. Happy coding!